Okay, so welcome back. We're going to be looking at the scope section again, and we're going to be taking a look at what is offered inside of there. So you'll notice I'm back on the home page, so I always want to make sure that you're comfortable navigating on how you want to get to where we're going. So you'll remember that we bookmark the example scope that we were using previously at 2.6a, and I've got it bookmarked right here. So I can just simply click on this and get to the scope that we're going to look at, or of course I can go back up here through that main tab. And I'm going to go ahead and use this bookmark feature. So we're familiar now with how to navigate and what's inside of this scope. The next thing I'd like to do is actually take you through each one of these little tabs and tell you what's inside of there. And I think there'll be some features that will make your job a lot easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on essentials, and I'm just going to briefly take you through the different pieces that we have here. So the scope summary is simply an overview of what is inside of this scope. So you would just simply kind of look there and it'll give you just a basic overview of what's inside each section as it relates to this particular standard. If you're brand new to STEMscopes and you don't really have a feel for what's inside, that might be helpful. The teacher background is a piece I want to talk a little bit about. It's very helpful if you are a new science teacher or a new to your grade level science teacher. So for instance, if you've moved from one grade level to a next and you're maybe not as familiar with the content in your grade level, this is really great information. They do a great job of breaking down the key concepts as it relates to that standard. So you might be familiar with some other resources when they give you teacher background. It's written by maybe a college professor who wants to tell you all the things that you need to know about energy. This is really tailored for what a second grader needs to know for this standard. So I find it to be very helpful and scaffolded and chunked together very helpful in a helpful way. It also has a neat feature where it's got lots of images here, and any image that you find within STEMscopes, you can always click on it, and what it will do is it will enlarge it, and you can right click and you can save this image or copy it, so you can use this for instruction. So if you found this to be helpful for you, it could be helpful for your students as well. I just want to note that when we move around in STEMscopes and we open up something, you'll want to use your back button because a lot of times STEMscopes won't open up a new tab, so you just want to be kind of careful about that and make sure that you use your back button. So here it has this key concept broken down, or the standard broken down by key concepts, and just gives you a nice little overview. I often use this information in my unit overview if I find something that's a really big misconception or had a lot of teacher questions about it. So you might be familiar with some of those images or the text. Going down the list in Essentials, I'm going to click on Standards Correlations. These are simply the vertical alignment for this particular standard, as well as what inner content connections there are with ELAR, with math, technology, and some of the other standards like ELPS and the college and career readiness standards. So this is just kind of an information FYI. The materials list is handy to know, so you will know how to plan for your investigations. And you'll notice that this is actually a live document where you can change the number of students. So this is very helpful when you have a departmentalized grade level and you have several sections that you're going to be doing the same investigation. So you can put in the number of students that you have. You can put in the maximum class size that you have. Let's say you have 25 in your max class. The number of groups within each class, let's say for instance you want no more than 6 groups. And let's just say that I have 2 classes. So what will happen when we do that is it will actually take this data that you've put in here and it will tell you how many you need of each of the consumable materials as well as the reusable materials. So it'll give you that note there and then the number over here. So again, this is for all of the materials that you need for the whole 5E, but you can of course pick and choose the pieces you want, but I just wanted to show that to you because I think that's a great feature. Okay, going back to the essentials, this is where you're going to have any answer keys. So anything that's listed anywhere here in the scope, if you're looking for the answer key for it, you're going to find that here. So that's not going to be listed necessarily within here, but it'll be back in the teacher section. So this is like a TE. The last piece in Essentials that I want to draw your attention to is Standards Unwrapped. This is almost like our Standards Clarifier on steroids. It's really a great piece of information, especially again if you're new to science or you're new to your grade level. You'll notice that they dissect the verbs, the standards, just like we do on our clarifier. It talks about what the student should be doing, what are the academic terms, the concrete words that the students should know. And one thing I really love here is implications for student misconceptions. So this would be looking at this particular content, which is looking at how energy is increased or decreased and how that affects objects. So we're talking second graders, we're talking a very abstract concept of energy. So this would be some things you could be either pre-teaching or pre-addressing or looking out for down here at the bottom. When you get into the older grade levels that have supporting standards or readiness standards, this section will also have the release standards for that particular standard. So for just a moment, I'm going to jump over to an upper grade level and show you what that looks like there. So we're going to go ahead and go to 5th grade, and I am going to go to the same vertically aligned standard. And here we've got Standards Unwrapped. And when I scroll down here, because this is a tested standard, I've got actually all of the STAR release questions. They're in English and Spanish, which is great. So you can look and see how this has been tested through the years. So here's how it was tested in 2013. Here's how it was tested in 2014, 2015, 16. And then you can see that they have the most recent ones as well. So that's a really great feature as well. So let me head on back to 2nd grade. So this piece, we explored everything that's inside of the essentials. So this is basically going to be your teacher edition and the reference point for you.